Diddy docket for Wednesday, May 21st. I want everybody to realize there were only a week and a half into an estimated 8-week trial. So today, there were 3 prosecution witnesses that testified: a Homeland Security agent, an expert on abuse trauma, and a former executive assistant. The Homeland Security agent just spoke to all of the drugs that they found in the March 2024 raid on his home. There was a bag with pills, powder that tested positive for cocaine, eye drops that had MDMA in it. The pills were MDMA, ketamine, methamphetamines. The jury saw photos of the narcotics that were seized at that raid. He also testified to a .45 caliber handgun that was found. Also, that they found parts, so dismantled AR-15 automatic weapons. The AR-15s did have the serial numbers scratched off, which is a concern. They were not loaded, but they did find 2 loaded magazines. We had a forensic psychologist to testify, and she just taught in general terms. She did admit that she had not actually interviewed any of the victims in the particular case, but she was just there to give the jury a broader understanding of how abuse victims act, to counteract the thought that a lot of people have of, why don't you leave? And just discuss the power and control dynamic, as well as financial and sexual abuse that will cause a victim to stay longer. On cross-examination, the defense attorneys had asked her if she had ever testified in defense of a man accused of any sexual crimes. I loved her answer. She said, "No, I don't evaluate offenders." Next up was George Kaplan, a former executive assistant. Before he began his testimony, before the jury was called in, he invoked his Fifth Amendment right not to testify on grounds of self-incrimination.
I tell you that I plead the fifth.
At that point, the judge did give him an immunity order, which is different from the proffer agreement that the previous assistant, David James, was given. A proffer offers limited protection opposed to an immunity agreement. He talked about his duties as an assistant, one of which to set up the hotel's room under an alias Frank Black, which supposedly is a play on the alias that the notorious B.I.G. used of Frank White. Part of his responsibility also was to make sure that those hotel rooms were cleaned up before the hotel staff arrived, and that was just part of his job of protecting Diddy's image. Diddy would also give him cash and a number to call. Those instances were him to purchase drugs on behalf of Diddy. Kaplan will continue testifying Thursday. Also, Kid Cudi, government name Scott Miss Cudi, will also be testifying on Thursday. Until next time.